How to get a car in Pakistan? The answer: turn a 4.2-meter vehicle into a 100-ton truck. And right now, the only way to do that is by extending the chassis. Today, let's watch how a scrap frog devours a white swan. The worker in front of us is working on the truck's chassis beam. These beams are made from completely new steel plates, unlike the reused, sanded, welded, and repainted ones, because this undercarriage is being built to 100-ton truck standards. Each beam is reinforced with 3 interleaved steel layers. With this kind of reinforcement, hauling 100 tons is no problem at all. At this stage, the truck conversion is still relatively incomplete. Most truck owners only partially modify their 4.2-meter vehicles, but this owner has gone all the way. This 100-ton truck conversion has taken 6 months and turned it into a giant. In Pakistan, as long as a truck owner has the idea, converting to a semi-truck is relatively easy. Once the heavy-duty steel layers are mounted onto the chassis beams, they must be clamped with the help of a reverse jack. The joints between the steel layers are then securely welded by skilled workers. This is why all surfaces need to be polished thoroughly beforehand. These types of chassis beams, like those on 100-ton trucks, are typically thick, multi-layered structures because the assembly depends partly on the force from overlapping beams. The process is fairly simple. Bend a steel plate to match the shape of the final part. Then trim off the excess using an oxyacetylene torch, OICTI len. After shaping, the beam is pounded into place while still hot. If the beam is still a bit too thin, the only solution the Pakistani mechanics can think of is to double it up, effectively doubling the original vehicle's weight capacity. That helps bridge the gap between the calculated specs and the real thickness. The vehicle's load capacity mainly depends on the beam. Trucks like this don't rely on sophisticated instruments to calculate structural force. Once the beams are secured, the entire rear axle and wheel system is installed. Leaf spring mounts are adjusted using threaded rods, and hammers are still the most accurate tool in a Pakistani mechanic's hands. They can align things with just one eye closed. If the team works well together, errors in measurement or data rarely happen. The threaded rod ensures everything stays tight. Once aligned, the mechanic welds the brackets in place. All mounting points are fixed. Since the workshop doesn't have pressing machines or precision tools, engine mounts like these are usually reconditioned parts, discarded components brought back to life. Afterward, the side of the beam is drilled with a mounting hole using a hand drill. The leaf spring bracket is secured with 5 large bolts. Because the third layer of the beam is quite thick, drilling takes time, but it ensures accurate hole alignment. The auxiliary axle and the beam are joined with rivets. No matter how much the truck vibrates during driving, those rivets won't budge. The rivet heads are heated until glowing red, then hammered down firmly. Once everything is secured, it's not perfect, but it's good enough. The leaf spring bracket is further reinforced with more bolts. Other damaged beam sections are removed, and whatever remains in the supply box is used and installed. This helps improve the structural integrity of the whole chassis. Both the top and bottom ends of the beam need to be drilled and riveted. This hammer's role here is truly a lifesaver for struggling workers. A long support bar is then used to raise the entire chassis, making it easier to install both front and rear axles. Next, the leaf springs and their brackets are aligned. Since the chassis is now a dual-axle design, then a balancing system must be added between the first and second axles. This is a tough job. Each leaf spring assembly is very heavy. At this point, the leaf spring system changes from a 2-group setup to a 4-group configuration. Meanwhile, the front of the vehicle is also being assembled in parallel. After basic assembly, the 100-ton truck now has its shape. From the results, it's easy to see the cleverness and precision of these skilled craftsmen. Then the rear axle is installed. The holes in the axle housing are aligned with the leaf springs. If the axle lacks proper support, the truck's momentum is instantly reduced by half. Once the engine is installed and tested, this 100-ton truck is officially complete. So, what do you think of Pakistani mechanics' craftsmanship?